Yeah, baby.
Nice Toyota.
I'm awfully glad you asked me that, Lloyd.
Hey everybody. Hey Jim. Look at that beautiful sky. You know what that means? That means we're gonna get some rain. It's supposed to start raining tonight, and it usually never rains here. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is the free Kawasaki, Suzuki, whatever you want to call it, it actually can be registered. I went to the auto club and looked up the record of the bike and just to see how bad off it was as far as registration goes, and it's good. It's got some outstanding fees. If I want to go in there and walk out with a new license plate, they don't have to inspect it. They don't have to do anything. All I got to do is I have to pay them a little less than $600. That's a lot of, that's a lot of money to just throw at the state for an old bike. But since I have nothing into it to begin with, I think I'll probably do that if everything else works out on this thing. So today I am going to drop the oil out of it, even though I can't run it and warm it up. I think I'm going to do an oil change probably twice on it if the oil that comes out now looks okay, and I'm going to pull out the oil filter and take a look at that and see how bad things are internally. And if it turns out that this thing is okay, I'll probably pay that $600 and get a license plate for it. And then I'll put new tires on it and all that good stuff. But now the bad news. I was driving the Z4 today and it made a funny noise when I went over a bump. Look at this mess. Yeah, pretty sky. Oh, not so pretty. This is the top of the passenger side strut. And look at the big crack all the way around. So it's completely cracked all the way around, and it's the same over here. Not quite as bad, but it's also starting to crack. It's like halfway around on this side. So, hey, we're going to get to do front strut replacement on the Z4 pretty soon. But back to the pretty sky. Stupid old German cars. So let's get back to some Japanese stuff here with this lovely bike. I washed it off, tried to clean it up a little bit, and I do have, there's a plastic panel that goes over here, and I do have that. And I also have, there's a little piece that goes across the front that holds the battery in. I have that as well. I ordered a new battery today. So that's cool. It won't be here for a couple days, but that's all right. I got some new oil filters. I didn't do it on eBay, which I should have, because you get like 3 of them for $10, and instead I wanted them today, so I paid $8 each. And that means that this bike isn't free anymore. I've got, let's see, I've got $17.50 invested in it so far. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to drop the oil. But first, you got to see this sky again. Look at this. It's pretty nice. Let me get out of the way. Like a painting. That is the cover for our oil filter. So I'm removing these side covers. I've already got the screws out here. It's interesting how scratched up these really are. They've been bushwhacked quite a bit. But the plastic's in good shape. And something to note when, if you're ever doing this, there's 3 screws. They all look alike from the outside, but they're not. The top two are shorter and use a regular washer. They're Phillips screws. And then down here, it's a little bit longer and it has a weird little washer. Let's see if I can pull one up here. This guy. So it's got a little like flanged washer, and the screw itself is a little bit longer than the other two. Also, you see there's a little bitty screw in there, that guy. That is on the other side here because I'm going to be changing and flushing the radiator. I took this plastic off also, and when I went to try and loosen this cap, I noticed that it has a little screw right there. You see the hole. It's got a little screw, that little one I showed you. You have to remove that in order to unscrew the cap. And it looks like the coolant looks fairly decent for as old as this. It's got some residue around the edge here, but I think a good flush and it looks okay in there. This thing is shaping up better and better. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off the seat, the rest of this plastic body cladding, and the gas tank. It looks like it's all pretty straightforward, and I'll let you know if it's anything weird. Well, I just removed this air cleaner cover, and boy, the air cleaner is pretty dirty, but oh, it could have been way worse. This is looks not all that bad, and it feels like it's not that dry. Oh wait, I take that back. Yeah, it is dry rotted, so I'm going to have to get a new air filter element. Yeah, that element is pretty bad. It's not that dirty, it's just all dried up from age. So it doesn't look like anything too bad happened in here. I'll clean out this air box and get a new filter. And that should get us into business. One thing I do want to mention though, when I open this up, and especially after taking this filter out of here, the smell of bad gas coming out of here is very strong. It smells like old stale varnish paint. It's really bad odor, so I'm pretty sure our carburetor is going to need to be cleaned out a little bit. Let's see. It feels like there's a toolkit in here. Let's see. Oh, this side of the zipper is... oh, it's all full of threads, so that's probably, it might be fixable. I don't know. If there's a couple teeth missing, it's not gonna. Oh, look at that. Looks like the original toolkit. What else we got here? Yeah, okay. So the original toolkit is in there. I think there's supposed to be some little strap that holds it down. That's missing, but I'll open up that toolkit and we'll go through it later. So the oil is held in the front of the frame here. And, you know, we have the dipstick up at the top, up here. So down at the bottom, there is a drain plug right here, which is a 12 millimeter. And as you can see, I loosened it and unscrewed it as far as it'll go, and then it runs into this skid plate here. So I'm going to have to remove this skid plate in order to get the drain plug out. Thanks, Japan. All right, so I've got the skid plate off. It was held on by 4 bolts. They were 12 millimeters, and they're all the same length. And yeah, this thing, it's not too bad. It's been rocked a few times, but doesn't seem to be too destroyed. Okay, well, now I can pull that plug out and drain the oil. Let's see if I can do this without dropping the bolt. Come on. Drum roll. And, oh, come on, it's longer than I thought. Feels like it's ready. Come on, there we go. All right. Oh yeah, that oil looks pretty dark. The hole on my oil pan here is kind of small, so I have to wait until this one quits dripping pretty much before I can go for there's another drain plug underneath to drain out the actual engine case. So I'll get that one next as soon as this one quits dripping. I guess I could put the little lid over here to get any crazy drips. That's probably a good idea. So moving on, I'm going to pull the plug off the bottom of the engine. The engine drain plug, it's right here, and I think it's a 14 millimeter. That's what it looks like. I'll have to see. Okay, it was a 14, and I've almost got it out. And something I've kind of noticed while I've been taking this thing apart is nothing on this bike is all that tight. The tightest thing I found so far is this drain plug, and it wasn't that tight. Even the skid plate bolts were not very tight. So that's something to keep in mind when I'm going to put it back together so I don't start over torquing stuff. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to let that drain. This thing only holds a little less than 2 quarts when it's full and ready to go. So now I'm going to move over to the other side where the oil filter housing is, and we'll drain that and then open that up. But before I pull out the filter, let's have a look at this drain plug. I think it is magnetic, and it sure doesn't look like there's anything too terrible on it. Yeah, it's got a little bit of metal shavings, but boy, not very much. And I kind of suspect that the oil in this bike is probably its original braking oil. If I don't know. I got that feeling, but it's not looking too bad, especially if it is braking oil. So let's move on and take a look in the filter. Taking off this side panel is a little tricky. You have to remove a 10 millimeter from there and a 10 millimeter from down there, and then it doesn't want to come off. And if you think it's just clipped on here, it isn't. It actually slips onto this post here. So to get it off, you have to pull this tab out from under the seat, because that seat tab's on top. So you got to pull it down and then push the whole thing forward about an inch, and then it pops off the front. So it's that little thing makes it a little bit tricky. Over here we have, as we said before, this is the lid to the cover on the oil filter is right behind here. And I think this down tube with this is going to be a drain for this housing. This is a 12. These 3 are 10s. So I'm going to pull them off once I put my glove on. No glove, no love. Try to keep the old motor oil off my fingers. Let's see. Should be coming out any second here. There we go. Okay, it's not much. It's draining pretty slow, but that's okay. It'll make it when I take the cover off. It won't puke quite so much oil all over the side of the engine here. I hope that's the way it works out. So this plug does not appear to be a magnetic type, but you know, the oil's dark, but it's not horrible. So I have great hope for what we're going to find behind here. I hope there's actually a filter in there. So I am removing the 3 10 millimeter cap nuts, And let's see what we got here. Oh, good, there is a filter. Yeah, be sure not to lose the spring. And unfortunately, I was not able to get new O-rings today. I'm going to have to order some. There's this big one and there's a small one inside, but okay, this looks pretty good. And let me pull out this filter, have a look. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to have to put the phone down and get this in a bright light and pull the little things apart and see if there's much in there, but I really don't see anything on it, so I'll be right back. Yep, it's dirty, but I could find absolutely no signs of metal shavings or anything too terrible in there. I wonder if this can't be the original one from the factory, but it's got different numbers on it than the one I got. The one I got here is a K&N number 139, I think. So that's the one we're going to put in once everything's cleaned out and drained and dripped for a while. But this is a really good sign. And we got just about the right amount of oil out of this, so it wasn't running really low. It's all looking real good as far as I'm concerned. I think this thing is a score. Yep. So that's probably about the best news that I could have gotten as far as pulling the oil and the oil filter out of this thing, because it looks great. It's a little dirty, but no signs of anything really awful happening. So now I'm going to take a look at those the O-rings and see. I know I shouldn't reuse that big one. I'm going to try not to disturb the little one on the inside, and just kind of going to have to use the big one for now. But I think I'm going to end up filling this back with oil, and once I get everything fixed on the fuel system and get it running, then after I warm it up, I'll change the oil again, and at that point I'll put in another new filter. And I know it's probably overkill, but at that point, I'll put in new O-rings for sure. I'll order them, and they'll have had time to arrive. I cleaned the mating surfaces pretty good. I cleaned out the channel. There's a channel that has this rubber O-ring in it. When I took it apart, the rubber O-ring stayed stuck on this face here. So I very carefully took it off of there, and I cleaned it, and then I cleaned this face real good so it's real nice and smooth. And then I lubricated this ring after cleaning it and reinserted it in this channel here after cleaning it out. So hopefully, you really should replace the O-rings, but hopefully it won't leak too much. And I got my little cap nuts back here, and I'm going to put it back on, and the arrow goes up. Okay, so I've got this back on, and I've snugged these down. And again, I didn't snug them down very much. I just put them down to where it's only a few foot-pounds of torque. I guess you could actually look up what the factory specs are, but because this is an item that comes off and on regularly, you just don't want to over torque it for the next guy or for yourself later on. And imagine how rotten that would be to have one of these studs break off and then have to try and remove it. Oh, big pain. So just got to be careful with these studs. Now I'm going to put my plugs back in the reverse order that I took them out. So first of all, I'll put this plug back in, and then I'll put the plug back in the bottom of the engine, and then I'll put the plug back in the bottom of the frame. There are 3 separate drain plugs. In order to get the seat off, we've already pulled this off in order to remove this plastic piece, and then there's one like this on the other side, and then you have to take off this, which is on the end of the seat strap. And what's interesting here is it's a pretty long bolt, and it has a flat washer on the front and a flanged washer on the back. And I'm sure that makes it a lot stronger and able to swivel around. So, and then you flip that over, and then the seat should lift right off. Well, after I tightened everything back up, I refilled it with a little less than 2 quarts. It's like 1.8, 1.9 quarts. And now I'm going to probably call it a day, and I'll work on draining the radiator maybe tomorrow. We'll see. It's going to be raining, so I might be in here playing around with this. But that's how you change the oil and look into the oil filter to see if your engine is destroyed. And this one isn't. Hooray. $600 for registration? I don't know about that, but it's way better than $6,000. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna have to do the strut job on that Z4 soon. Gonna have to do the silly transmission on this Mercedes soon. I don't know how to do either one of those jobs, so it's gonna be fun as usual. So I'll get more in on that bad boy probably tomorrow.